Finally, some good weather to start our week. Hello everyone and welcome to the Sports Report. I'm your host, Aaron Gonders. Sports went wild over the weekend in Stillwater and across the country, and I'm here to recap that action. OSU baseball and softball continued their winning streaks as Big 12 play started over the weekend. Cowgirl Equestrian brought home their 8th Big 12 championship in program history, and the Final Four is set for Men's March Madness, and the Women's Tournament is 2 games away from setting its own Final Four. All that's coming up on this episode of the Sports Report. We'll start the show with Cowboy Baseball, who extended their win streak to 11 games with a series sweep of the Kansas Jayhawks. Game 1 was a battle from the beginning. The Jayhawks took the lead initially with a 2-run second inning, but the Cowboys fought back with a 3-run shot from catcher Chase Atkinson. From there, the Cowboys never looked back and won the first game 4-2 while getting a 9-inning and 9-strikeout showing from ace Justin Campbell. Game 2 was another battle. The Jayhawks took a 2-0 lead after the third, and it wasn't until the 6th that the Cowboys would take the lead for good. Timely hitting and a pitching meltdown from Kansas opened the door for the Cowboys to shut the door on the Jayhawks and win the game 4-3. In Game 3, OSU opened the floodgates. The Cowboys scored 7 runs on 11 hits and held Kansas to only 2 runs and 9 hits. This series puts the Cowboys squarely on a collision course with the Oklahoma Sooners in a Tuesday night Bedlam showdown at One Oak Field in Tulsa. The Cowgirls used an offensive explosion to win their series with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Game 1 was a clinic as the Cowgirls scored 7 runs on 11 hits. Kylie Naomi and Miranda Elish were both 3 for 3 at the dish on the day, and each had a home run to boot, leaving the score 7-0. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Kelly Maxwell was on fire from the circle, fanning 16 batters on the way to a complete game no-hitter. Games 2 and 3 were both run rules for the Cowgirls. Game 2 was won 9-1, and Game 3 was an even wider margin at 16-2. Cowgirls all over the batting order lit up the scoreboard, hitting a total of 10 home runs between the last 2 games in the series. OSU will stay at home for another game this week, hosting the Tulsa Golden Hurricane in Stillwater before going to Waco for a series against the Baylor Lady Bears. Before we dive into March Madness, OSU Equestrian took home the Big 12 championship for the 8th time in program history. The Cowgirls took down the 4th-seeded TCU Horned Frogs with a score of 11-9. The Equestrian team will be in fine-tuning mode here in Stillwater before taking the fight to nationals from April 14th to 16th in Ocala, Florida. Now it's time for a little March Madness. The Final Four is set after an intense Elite Eight round over the weekend. We'll start with Houston and Villanova. The Cougars and the Wildcats squared off in a defensive slugfest, with Villanova clinching the first spot in the Final Four with a 50-44 win. Neither team in this game shot better than 30% from the floor, but the biggest storyline was Houston's abysmal 3-point shooting on the day. The Cougs were 1 for 20 from 3-point land, with Tajay Moore making their lone shot from deep all game. Villanova's opponent was decided last night between the Miami Hurricanes and the last remaining Big 12 team in the Kansas Jayhawks. The night started off tough for the Jayhawks as the U took a 6-point lead into halftime. That lead didn't last long into the second half, though. David McCormick opened up the half on his own 5-0 run, and Jayhawk star Ochai Agbaji scored 12 of his 18 points after halftime. The Jayhawks punched their ticket with a second-half boat race, eliminating the Hurricanes 76-50. On the other side of the bracket, Coach K's last dance was once again put on the line. Duke squared off against the Arkansas Razorbacks, who just eliminated number 1 seed Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. Even though the Razorbacks got good showings from Jalen Williams, Stanley Umude, and J.D. Note, it wasn't enough to overcome Duke's talent and Coach K's movie moment. 4 of Duke's starters scored in double digits, led by A.J. Griffin with 18 points. Duke's ticket was punched with a score of 78-69. Finally, we come to the end of the Elite Eight. St. Peter's Cinderella run was put up against the hot North Carolina Tar Heels. Unfortunately, the Peacocks didn't have enough firepower to overcome the Heels in this one. A 38-19 first half set the tone for the rest of the game, and St. Peter's just didn't have enough to come back and win. North Carolina was led by big men Brady Manick and Armando Baycott. Manick scored 19 points and was 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. Baycott went about his business in a different way. He went 8 of 15 from the floor, scoring 20, but also pulled down 22 rebounds. North Carolina ended up winning 69-49 and will face Duke in a much-anticipated rematch of Coach K's final regular season game at Duke. The Final Four will tip off at 5 on Saturday in New Orleans with Kansas versus Villanova on TBS. The women's Final Four will be set after tonight. Texas and South Carolina punch their tickets on Sunday night, and their opponents will be decided in games between NC State and UConn and Michigan and Louisville. Well, that does it for today's Sports Report. Don't forget to tune in the rest of this week for more Sports Report content. Once again, I'm Aaron Gonders, and I will see you all again next week.